Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Courageously You with Martha on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. I am so excited, you guys. Well, I'll introduce myself first. Martha Davis Alexander of Courageously You with Martha. I am a recovering attorney. I am a life coach, a business coach, a money coach, and an abundance strategist. And I love talking to other experts in their field. You guys know I love to interview people. And I have an amazing guest for you guys today. My guest today is Velma Gallant, and she is a Heartset Advisor. Let me say that again. Velma Gallant, and she is a Heartset Advisor. I love that. She is the founder of the Heart Compass Method, which I can't wait to talk about. And the topic tonight, what we're talking about is just so this channel, right? Creating peace after divorce. So without further ado, Velma, I am so excited to have you on this show. My goodness. This is so exciting. Hello.
I'm super excited to be here too. I'm usually on the other side of the mic, so this is a lot of fun.
Yay. Well, you know what? You got to be on both sides of the mic. Got to interview and be interviewed. So Velma, tell me about creating peace after divorce. What's that about?
What I've actually found is that most people's experience of a divorce is trauma. Yes. Not everybody, but most people's experience of a divorce is trauma. And I can honestly say that that was my experience as well. I've been divorced twice. I married my high school sweetheart. We grew apart. We ended up getting divorced. My second marriage produced my most amazing son that I absolutely adore. And at the same time, when our marriage was ending, it was a high conflict divorce. And that had a huge amount of impact on myself, my son, my ex-husband. There was a lot going on there. And when my divorce was finally complete, there was a lot of things that I was experiencing. One was all my identities were gone.
Yeah.
And that's not a peaceful place to be.
No, being a recovering people pleaser, I get, right? That identity being an identity crisis.
Right. And then the other part of it is when the divorce was complete, all of that energy I had been putting into that was now free energy. And it was an opportunity for me to discover what it was that I wanted to do with that energy. And I didn't have all of those identities to put it into. There was me. And so it was a beautiful place and a scary place.
Oh, yeah. So I absolutely adore, and I want the audience to catch that you took that as an opportunity. You didn't stick in that energy of the divorce, but you took it as an opportunity to channel your energy into something really beautiful and positive. It's scary time. I get it, right? Discovering yourself is really scary time as an adult. It's a little scary as a kid, but really scary as an adult. I love that you did that. I love that.
So, so I've come from a life of those kinds of experiences. So, I mean, I experienced teen trauma. I moved out when I was 16. I was homeless when I was 17. So I'm not a stranger to challenging circumstances. And at the same time, it doesn't matter what happens to you. You're not always prepared for what's coming at you. I mean, I went into this marriage with the intention it was going to be for the rest of my life. I mean, we created a family. So the intention for both of us was we wanted this for the rest of our lives. And that's just not what happened. And the other beauty that came out of it as I gained more understanding of myself, what I'm capable of, what I wanted, was I actually was able to transform that high conflict divorce into a beautiful parenting relationship with my ex-husband. We actually, after not speaking for 3 full years, only communicated by email, we were actually sitting in a coffee shop, the 3 of us, my ex-husband, my son, and I, discussing my son's future together.
Wow. That's a huge thing to be able to say you could do it. I'm, my parents were divorced when I was 7. You and I have talked about that. And I totally blew it. I was so excited that Velma was here. I had her bio here to read, and I just totally got so excited. I jumped the gun. Just saying, it happens sometimes. I just came back from vacation, so I'm a little less, on ball than I normally am. But you all know that I do goofs all the time. So anyway, being the child of a divorce, I totally understand what you just said. And then I went. So I want you guys to hear the bio, Velma. I want to really introduce Velma again,
Okay.
and then we'll get back into it because it's important that you guys know who Velma is. Despite her absolute beauty and my love affair with her accent, there's more. There's way more. So Velma helps divorced women create peace with her proprietary Heart Compass method. Now, you and I are going to talk about Heart Compass method because that's amazing and it's guaranteed. She's a survivor of teen trauma, divorced twice, including a high conflict divorce that she just talked about with a child. The high conflict divorce was transformed into an exceptional parenting relationship for the empowerment of their son. Now, who doesn't want that? Anyone out there, and I was a divorce attorney, so any of you out there, and a child of a high conflict divorce, any of you out there who have that situation and want to change it into an empowered place for your children instead of a disempowering place, Velma's your go-to for that. It is so important to empower your children. It is one of my life missions that children be empowered. I just don't know how to empower the women. I empower the kids afterwards. Velma has interviewed and studied personal growth and transformational experts for more than 20 years, including 3 of the teachers of The Secret before The Secret was The Secret. So Velma has friends and knows people in really high places, and I love that. She has learned from the masters when the masters were getting started, when the people in the industry. So where do you want to go from here? What do you want to tell us? What do you want to talk about? The masters? Do you want to talk about that you learned from? Do you want to talk about that and your method, right? Your Heart Compass method, which is trademarked, by the way, people. It's amazing. What do you want to talk about? Tell me where you want to go.
Well, so what I really love, and I see the synergy between the work that you do with working with empowering the children after divorce, and I'm empowering the women after divorce. And at the same time as I empower a woman after divorce, that creates the opportunity for those children to be empowered from a different direction, right?
That.
So
yeah,
we created that for our son. What had occurred was I had a moment where I came face to face with my belief about myself and my belief about my ex-husband. And what I'd come to understand was that, one, I probably should have left that marriage a lot sooner than I did. There were things that he shared with me that I chose not to believe about him. He's like, I am this. And I'm like, no, you're not. And carried on my merry way. Right.
So red flag ladies, if a guy, if anyone tells you whether they're male or female and they're your partner and they tell you I am X, don't disbelieve it. Believe what they tell you. and decide if that's a deal breaker for you. Don't think you're going to save him. Beauty and the Beast doesn't really exist. It's a story.
Yes. Well, and that's so true. And so, as I come face to face with my belief, and my belief was that if I couldn't fix this marriage, I was a failure.
Oh.
Right. And then, there's a lot of dynamics that come with it. It's my second marriage. So, that would prove that I'm a failure because I've failed twice at marriage. Right. And what I came to understand was, one, I'm not a failure. So I transformed that belief. And the other one was that my ex-husband was a horrible person. And that was not true either. He was responsible for the choices he made. Absolutely. There's no question about that. But we all make choices. And that doesn't make us horrible people. It means that we made choices. That's it. That's
what it means. I love a couple of things you said, and I want to, if I don't brain fog them into the Neverland, I want to point out that there's a lot of people, and maybe you in the audience are feeling this, right? That if you leave, you failed. You have failed. I know so many people, some in my family, some otherwise, who believe that if they leave a marriage, if they get divorced, they have failed. And I just, Velma said it, and now I'm going to say it. It is not true. It is not a failure. It is a reassessment and a choice that you get to make for your life. So decide whether staying in it is the best for you or not. And I'm not advocating either way. I'm just saying it is a choice. It is not there isn't a success or failure. There isn't a good or bad. There just is a choice.
Nothing means something until we make it so.
Right? So I really wanted to highlight what you said, Velma, because I think it is so important for people not to believe that they're a failure because they're getting divorced, or because it's a high conflict marriage. It takes two people to have a high conflict. So learning how after it's over, right, and emotions have come down, to settle that down is a beautiful choice and a beautiful opportunity.
What we created was a where are we now and where do we want to go? And the power in that was nobody was looking in that rearview mirror pointing at each other. It was just, where are we now and where do we want to go? So when I called my ex-husband, which shocked him because I had actually not spoken to him, like I said, for 3 full years. And so when I phoned his number and my name showed up, it kind of freaked him out. He didn't know what was going on. Yeah.
What's coming? Yeah.
And so I shared what I observed about myself, that, I should have left sooner. I felt that if I didn't fix this marriage, I was a failure. What I come to understand is I'm not a failure and you're not a horrible person. What I'd love to do is create a parenting relationship for the empowerment of our son. Are you in? And he's like, 100%, 100%, 100%. And so
I want you to say that sentence again. I want to create a
parenting relationship for the empowerment of our son.
So hear that, you guys. I want to create, say it again.
A parenting relationship for the empowerment of our son.
Parenting relationship for the empowerment of our son. How powerful is that? If you're listening to this live, or if you're listening to it on a recording, write that down, right? You can pause and rewind and go back. I made her say it 3 times because I couldn't get it exactly in the right words, but that is a really powerful statement. A parenting relationship for the empowerment of our son, our child. Who doesn't want to empower their child? Isn't that what we're destined to do when we have kids? that is a writer downer. So I hope y'all took the opportunity while I interrupted Velma and made her say it 4 times to write that down and write Velma's name down as as well. Yikes. Velma Gallant, VelmaGallant. You can reach her at divorcedwomencreatingpeace.com. divorcedwomencreatingpeace.com, so that that's really easy. So I just really want you to hear the power of that statement, right? And the power of the statement that she didn't look in that, it was all about looking where we are and where we want to go. There was nothing, and you did X, Y, and Z. There was no looking in the rearview mirror, no looking back, deciding to let it go. So how did you do that?
So there was a lot of belief transformation for myself. It was self-assessment. It was accepting what was, and then looking at, so what about me? What have I made all of this mean? What are my beliefs about myself, others, and the world? And it was that kind of work that I went into in order to support myself to turn my life around. Because at the end of the day, I have no impact or choice when it comes to my ex-husband. Those are his choices and everything. And that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is me, and my responsibility is leading my son. And the way to lead my son is to lead me.
That's powerful as well. So is that what your program does? Is that kind of, you take people through that, looking at themselves and looking at the mindsets that need to shift? Tell me.
So the heart compass is, our heart is our compass. And so it also has an acronym with it, but the foundation of it is, our heart is our compass. It leads our mind, it leads our spirit, it leads our body. And when we use our heart as that compass, we will live a peaceful life.
Oh,
it's as simple as that. And so the acronym for it is HEAL, EXPAND, ACHIEVE, REBUILD, TRANSFORM.
I love that. HEAL, expand. Let me see if I can do it. HEAL, just so people can get it again. HEAL, expand, achieve. Last one's transform.
Rebuild.
Rebuild. That's amazing. So
one of the ways that I start working with people is a self-discovery process. And it gets to the core of who we are, why we do things the way we do them. It is our operating system. When I know myself and the way I operate, then it makes it easier for me going forward into the world, because I get to make choices according to who I am, not who I think I should be, not who others think I should be, but who I am.
And who you want to be, right? How you want to show up in this world.
Well,
oh, no.
When it comes to our operating system, I mean, we live in a technology world. So an operating system is what works in the background and has it does all of the functioning, right?
Yeah.
So
like
it's our,
or whatever.
Yeah, it's our default. It's our default. Like when, we go back to default. When we reboot, we go back to default, right? And so it's our default way of being. And with that way of being, we have choice when it comes to how we express it, how we show up in the world. What are the results? It's our basic, it's our motivation and the results that we bring, all wrapped up into one little beautiful ball. And when we gain that level of understanding, and that is the discovery process that I bring them through, we get to look back. How did it show up? How did we express this in our past? Were there times where we weren't expressing this and we were miserable? Were there times when we were expressing this and we were just in pure joy? And then how are we showing up in our lives right now with this? Where are we with it right now? And that again is, am I fully expressed? Or have I got something squeezed off and I'm not happy? And so again, looking at our now, and then taking that information and looking at our future through the lens of who am I? And being able to make choices through that way.
So we're going to continue to talk about this, I hope, when we come back. Right now, we are going to take a quick break. This is a commercial break. You can dance with me. I'll be dancing in the background. Hopefully, Velma will join me in dancing. This is Courageously You with Martha. I am your host, Martha Davis Alexander. We are talking to, you can reach me at marthadalexander@gmail.com or courageouslyu.com, or you can text me 805-422-6865. And I love hearing from you. Please, I love hearing from you. Email me, marthadalexander@gmail.com, or tag me from my website, or text me or call me. And I'm talking with my guest, who is awesome, Velma Gallant, and she is the founder of the Heart Compass Method, which is what we have been talking about. And you can reach her at Divorced, DIVORCED, womencreatingpeace.com. And we will be right back after these short messages. Come back. Don't leave me. I don't know why it is I love commercial breaks. This is Courageously You with Martha. I am Martha Davis Alexander, your host. You can reach me at marthadalexander@gmail.com, at courageouslyyoucoaching.com, or at 805-422-6865. And I am having such a fun time with my guest, Velma Gallant, who is a Heartset Advisor. I love that title. And the founder of the Heart Compass Method, that we've been talking about, you can reach Velma at, there you go, divorcedwomencreatingpeace.com. All right, so we were talking about how you get people, we're talking about creating peace after divorce, but in that, you were talking about how you help, particularly women, right, discover themselves, right? The method that you use for that. And it sounds so fascinating to me. Every time we talk about it, I'm like, I must do that. I just, who doesn't want to know more about your operating system, right? You were born with a default operating system of how you were to show up on this earth. And nobody gives you that manual, right? I always say we're born without a manual, but there is kind of a manual, right?
I love that you put it that way, really, because in a lot of ways, when we come to understand that operating system, it is almost like giving us a mini manual.
I love that.
So for me, my way of doing everything is I want to make a difference. And you and I are kind of soul sisters on this, because that has me. I'm a yes girl, because I want to make a difference. Velma, can you? Yes, I can.
Do I want to is what I want to teach you to say.
Well, and there's so much awareness that comes with that, but that has been my default. I want to make a difference. I want to be the contribution. I want to be there and making a difference in other people's lives or in the world, or whatever the case might be, right? I want to be there making a difference. And how I do that is by challenging the way things are thought about or done. I'm an outside of the box kind of a thinker. I'm one of those kids who was why?
I had a couple of those.
And at the end of the day, what I have to offer and what I give is simplicity, simple solutions. And that's how I'm wired. And
solutions that other people don't see. So I don't want people to think that they can just necessarily grab those solutions out, but you see deeper. You have they're simple solutions based upon research and how somebody's operating system and things, right? I mean,
that's part of my wiring, and that was part of that simplicity that I bring to the table, is why I did interviews for so long, because I would listen and I would paraphrase it back in a simple way, right? And that's what I do is I take the information and I distill it down, and that's how I come up with the simple solutions, right?
So you take chaos, what someone else views as chaos in their life, and you kind of organize it and distill it so that they can see it and cope with it. Does that work? Is that?
Well, that is one way that it is one way that it can show up. And so I took this discovery of who I am and my operating system, and I did do the looking back experience. I did look back on my life. Where did it show up? And so, as a very simple example, is in my first marriage, my husband wanted coffee in the morning, but he didn't want to make it, and I didn't want to get up to make it for him.
So you don't drink coffee?
Not anymore. I did back then, but he was up earlier and out the door earlier than me, so it was like I don't want to get up as early as you. So I found a simple solution, and that was I got one of those butter containers and I put the filters in, and I put the proper scoop amount of coffee in there, stuck that in the fridge, and he could just come out and make his coffee easily. He didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to think about it. It was a simple solution, right? And, I looked at my career because I have a long career of administrative work. Worked in banking, private industry, legal, oil and gas. Like, I've got quite an extensive experience in the administrative world. And I would do the same thing inside of my roles. I wanted to make a difference for my people, my teams, my boss, all of it. I challenge the way things are thought about or done. It's like, well, why do we do it this way? What if we did it that way? And so I'd find all of those little simple solutions and everything. And what I observed looking back is the jobs I was happy in, I could be that. The jobs I was unhappy in, I could not be that. I couldn't make a difference.
They stifled that.
Exactly. And I've observed that inside of relationships as well, because in the different relationships I've been in, and that's, intimate relationships, family relationships, relationships with my child, relationships with friends. I mean, I've ended friendships because I couldn't be me. They wanted the contribution, but they didn't want me challenging the way things were thought about or done. They didn't want any of my simple solutions. They wanted me to help them exactly the way they wanted me to help them. And that was that. And so I couldn't be me, all of me in those experiences. Right. And so I wasn't happy inside of those friendships or those relationships. What it also gave me was that filter. Because when somebody comes to me now, in my experience, when they come to me and there's an opportunity for me to be a contribution, the questions I ask myself are, am I going to be able to challenge the way things are thought about or done? Am I going to be able to provide simple solutions? Are they going to allow me to do that? Do they want that? If I cannot do either of those, then I'm not being a contribution. I'm actually adding stress to them and me. And so what it gave me was that no was the contribution. No was the way I was making a difference.
I love that. I love that. And you just answered a question in my own mind for you on something. That was interesting.
Okay.
We'll talk later. Anyway, I love that. I love that that through your operating system, you can know whether you can serve or whether you're better off serving by saying no. That's a beautiful thing to know, right?
And guess how much peace that brings me.
You and everybody else, right? Because that doesn't create that friction, right? Yeah.
So there's a lot of us out in the world. There's a lot of us yes people. There's a lot of us people who love to make a difference. You're not necessarily, there's a lot of people who are going to be wired similar to me. There's going to be a lot of people who are wired differently than me. Right.
But it doesn't matter because we need all the different wirings, right? We need everything for all of us for the world to work the way it's supposed to, right? So knowing your wiring is what's important. Knowing that operating system is really a gift. It's a beautiful thing.
It is, because one of the other things that I've observed of myself over the years is that, with that challenging aspect of me is that I love change. And actually my previous company was called Welcome Changes. Oh. So it's something that I need, I value, I appreciate, and I judged.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because, in my years of administration, the way I was raised is you don't leave a job. You stay at the job. You stay with the company forever and ever. Amen. And I would get a couple of years into a role and I'd be like, oh, I'm so bored. I can't do this anymore. But you can't feel that, Velma. You have to stay with this job. If you're not doing this, then you're bad, wrong, whatever. Right.
Right.
And so when I discovered this about myself, it was like, oh, so that's why I experienced that, is because that's part of my wiring. That's part of my essence. And so change is something that I need and I value and I love. And guess what kind of peace that brought to me?
Oh, tremendous. I mean,
Right?
that's it. So there must be something about change in me too. My poor husband, when we first got married, he's the roots down, same house. I like to move, 17 places in 19 years is kind of my standard. And so staying in the same house for 25 years was really difficult for me.
Mm.
He had to be willing to paint and change furniture and remodel and do things in order for me to stay in one place. We had to change things in order for that to work for me. But yeah, I have to change things. Doesn't work otherwise.
Right. And so again, coming to that understanding of self, that acceptance of self creates a level of peace that I never experienced until I had that.
And an appreciation, right? An appreciation that's part of you. That's what makes you thrive. That's what makes you glow. That's what sets you free and gives you that light and love and joy, right?
Yeah.
It is really staying true and in alignment with who you are. So being able to find who you are before a divorce, after a divorce, right? Just recovering people pleaser.
Well,
right?
and that's
right?
Exactly. And that's, again, it becomes my filter. It becomes my way of establishing boundaries for myself.
I love that. And the part of that being your filter instead of your childhood survival filters, which we have talked about, is so empowering. It is so empowering to have that.
It is. It really is. And then after that initial discovery process, if somebody chooses to continue working with me, then we start dealing with those things like the beliefs that I had and that helped me transform the relationship with my ex-husband of I'm a failure. We've all got those self-esteem beliefs that we experience through childhood, and it's not to blame our parents, because there are a lot of people out there who have very loving parents that did things the best that they possibly could. And not everybody had that experience as well. Like, I get that, but it's those experiences that created it. So constantly being corrected by a parent, they're teaching. That their perspective is their teaching.
Right.
But as a child, our perspective, what we make it mean
is something way different. Yeah.
I'm not good enough. I'm not valuable. I'm a failure. And there's all of those different self-esteem beliefs that we operate through.
Well, I'm gonna be a little harsh here. Are you ready for my harshness here, Velma? I have long thought, right? I mean, I could blame my parents for a lot of things, but it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be correct. They did everything they had in their power to do. They loved me. They loved my brothers. They did some stuff. They made some choices that were stupid and that were wrong. So have I. So it's all okay. My job, right, as an adult, is to find those things that the messages I gave myself when I was a kid. And my job is to change those. That is the beauty of being an adult. That is the beauty of personal growth and personal development, is you have the choice and the ability to dig in there and really see if you want to. So you can't blame anyone else for where you are. You get to choose to change. And that's my tough love for the day.
And I agree with you 100% about that. I mean, like I shared with you earlier that I made the choice to leave the family home when I was 16 years old. I made that choice. It wasn't anything that my mom did. She didn't say, get out. She gave me a choice and I took it. And I had to take responsibility for my life going forward. I couldn't blame anything on anyone else, because anything that happened after that was because of that choice that I made. And I have no regrets. I mean, it's not a life that I would choose or wish on anyone, but I have no regrets about that choice or any of the choices that I made, because they've made me who I am today.
Yes.
They've made me the mother that I am. They've made me the partner that I am. They've made me the friend that I am. And they've made me the Heartset Advisor that I am.
And I love that, right? I absolutely love that, because that is so empowering to say, nobody else is responsible for my life but me. Nobody's responsible for my choices but me. Even as a child, that was, and I was doing the best I could as a child to survive and made those mindsets. And now it's up to me to say, hey, wait a minute, that might not work for me anymore, to recognize them and say, maybe not. Maybe I don't have to do this.
So a really good example of how empowered we really are that we don't know is any kind of event can happen. An event will happen. We will have an emotion.
Yes.
Right? And so the question is, what just happened? And what meaning did I give what just happened?
So I want y'all to write that down, right? I want you to write down that question for yourself. What meaning did I give that?
Mm-hmm. Because I shared earlier that our parents, they corrected us because the meaning they gave that was they were teaching us. The meaning I gave that is I'm not good enough.
Right.
But all that happened, the only event that happened was I did something, I was corrected. That's it. There is no meaning in the event. It's like watching a movie, but you don't get the music. So you see somebody walking down the street. How do you feel about that? You see somebody walking down the street. But you hear
because is there suspenseful music? Is something going to jump out of them? Or is it like, la, 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 we're strolling down in beautiful nature? Or is it, I'm going to meet someone? I have no idea. There is no meaning to someone walking down the street without the context around it.
Yeah. And so the movie makers, the meaning they're putting on that walk is it's scary because they've got the music playing. So that's the music playing in our head is our meaning.
I love that. That was awesome. Oh my gosh. We know we could talk forever, and we can't talk forever on the podcast because we're out of time. So Velma, any last advice or thoughts before we close out to give the audience?
After you ask that question, what meaning did I give that? Ask yourself, what else could it mean?
Oh, I love that. Follow up. What else could it mean?
What else could it mean? Because that's going to prove to you that there is no meaning in that event. The music's playing in our head, not in the event.
That is fabulous. So ask yourself, what meaning did I give it? And then ask, what else? What other meanings could there be? She said it better, but whatever. All right, guys, this has been, I love having you on my show, Velma. Is so amazing. So everybody, it's Velma Gallant, and you can reach her at, I'm not going to remember it. Divorce, DIVORCED, women, WOMEN, creating, CREATING, peace, PAEAPEACE.com. And you guys reach out to Velma. She's amazing. She's so fun to talk to.
I'm on most of the social media platforms, not on TikTok. You won't find me there.
So you can
you'll find me on Instagram
and find her on Facebook. She's amazing. So connect with her and say you've met her here, so that she knows. So this is Courageously You with Martha. I am Martha Davis Alexander, your host. And you can reach me at marthadalexander@gmail.com. That's MARTHADALEXANDER @gmail.com. or at courageouslyoucoaching.com. And you can also reach me by my cell phone, which is 805-422-6865. I love, love, love it. It makes my day, my week, my year when I get messages from you. So please keep them coming. And please remember to hit the like and subscribe button so that you can find me easily. And I can always be in your thread with fabulous guests like Velma Gallant. Until next time, you can see me again next week at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Eastern on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. Y'all know where to find us. We'll be here. Be here. Come check us out. Until then, be courageously you. Have a fabulous week.